Chapter 10. The Puzzle Begins. Consciousness returned in fragments. A dull ache pulsed behind her eyes, and her body felt stiff, as though cramped inside a too small space for far too long. Cold metal pressed against her skin, and she blinked against a harsh light. Her surroundings swam into focus with agonizing slowness. Her eyes traced the contours of a glass enclosure. It wasn't quite a cage, more like a bizarrely exposed fish tank. Inside, a toilet, and a radio emitting a tinny, irritatingly cheerful tune on a loop. Soon, the radio's noise was overlapped with a robotic voice, clipped and bright, echoing around the room.
Hello, and, again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We hope your brief detention in the relaxation vault has been a pleasant one. Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper. Before we start, however, keep in mind that although fun and learning are the primary goals of all Enrichment Center activities, serious injuries may occur. For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from...
The voice glitched, a brief buzz of static drowning out the false cheer, and a flicker of confusion rippled through her. Something was off, out of place, yet it didn't trigger fear, just a sense of heightened attention. The voice resumed, crackling.
Stand back. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
A glowing essence coalesced before her, like nothing Chell had ever witnessed. A Terran reality. The twisting, whirling ring shimmered with an almost liquid luminescence, radiating a strange, prickling warmth. Curiosity blazed within her, a desperate hunger to understand, and Chell crept closer to the portal. Her breath hitched. What she saw made no sense. The shimmering anomaly on the wall was a window, a mirror, yet the woman within was not a reflection. An older version of herself stared back, and Chell was overcome by a sickening sense of dislocation. Where was she? How much time had withered away? Her memory was a tattered tapestry. What was this thing in front of her? The air thrummed with an unseen energy. She inched closer to the shimmering portal, eyes fixated. In her mind, this was not a nightmare, but a puzzle. A cryptic problem screaming for a solution hidden within its defiance of logic. This was her new reality, to decipher what was happening, to exploit these new rules and wrestle back some semblance of control. The shimmering portal beckoned, both an invitation and a dare. A single step swept her across an impossible threshold. The woman in the portal now standing before her, a stranger from the future looking back from the other side. Instinct, or some distant echo of muscle memory, drew her eyes to the corner. A lens, encased in a sleek metal, tracked her movements. Invisible and ever-present, it felt less like a tool, and more like the cold gaze of an unknown observer. Her task waited ahead. A button, a door, and a strip of blue lights connecting them like a crude diagram. Step on the button, the lights turned orange and the door creaked open. Basic cause and effect made manifest, yet a new element had been introduced. A cube dropped from the compartment in the ceiling the moment she stepped away from the button. The puzzle was less about ingenuity and more about understanding the rules of this new game. Place the cube on the button, and the path opened again. Through the doorway was another chamber. A new problem using the same principles. This time, the same types of portals she had been initially introduced to seemed to play a part. She studied the portals that appeared and vanished. They became not just strange phenomena, but tools. She used them to redirect the cube, to bypass an impossible gap, and once more, the door slid open with a mechanical groan. Her success was less about brilliance and more about adaptation, about learning to see the solutions within the strange tools she was given. With each chamber conquered, a disquieting truth sank in: the total lack of human presence. Observation windows lined the walls, yet the figures they were meant to frame were conspicuously absent. The sterile environment seemed to pulse with an echo of her own footsteps, the only sound beneath the hum of the cameras. Despite this uncanny feeling, Chell continued to push forward. The next room held an interesting reward. A sleek gun, white and cool to the touch, waited on a pedestal. She approached this new element within the chamber, a new tool at her grasp. It felt weighty within her hands, 3 prongs curving from its black barrel, and oddly, there was a warmth at its core, a thrumming pulse that seemed to resonate with her own heartbeat. As Chell equipped herself with this new tool, the computerized voice spoke to her once more.
Very good. You are now in possession of the Aperture Science handheld portal device. With it, you can create your own portals. These intradimensional gates have proven to be completely safe. The device, however, has not. Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most importantly, under no circumstances should you...
With a concerning energy, Chell continued forward. The portal gun wouldn't be the last new testing element, not by a long shot. As the doors for Test Chamber 6 hissed open, a wave of heat washed over Chell, and the sterile air thrummed with an electronic whine which reverberated through the room. Her gaze snapped upwards. A strange device hung from the ceiling. It pulsed, and a blinding sphere of energy erupted, promptly followed by GLaDOS' clipped tone.
While safety is one of many Enrichment Center goals, the Aperture Science high-energy pellet seen to the left of the chamber can and has caused permanent disabilities such as vaporization.
The threat hung heavy in the air, a chilling contrast to the deceptively simple puzzle. No button, only a strange receptacle waited below. Instinctively, Chell placed the portal on the ceiling above the device, guiding the erratic energy ball to its awaiting arms. A surge of power, a crackle of energy flashed, and the receptacle snapped shut, encasing the deadly sphere. The tension broke as the platform lowered in front of her, leading to the next room. Chell realized that this was only just the beginning. Each prior test was merely an introduction to a new element, new obstacles with new solutions. The real game, whatever it was only just beginning. Then came Test Chamber 8. The metallic tang hit her before the door even wheezed open. It was a heavy industrial reek, a stark contrast to the sterile air she'd become accustomed to. The chamber itself was a departure from the norm. Floating platforms hung precariously in midair, connected by thin beams of energy. The chamber was encased in cold metal walls, and the buttons she was starting to recognize seemed out of place amidst this industrial, chemical landscape. But the most jarring difference was the floor, where before there had been pristine white tiles, now a viscous, churning liquid bubbled and hissed. The sickly green glow emanating from the depths did little to quell the rising panic in her gut. The smell was acrid, stinging her nostrils and sending a wave of nausea through her. This wasn't a test of problem-solving anymore. It was a test of survival. The puzzle itself was deceptively simple. Platforms, switches, a familiar cause and effect dance. Yet, as she navigated the precarious platforms, every action felt heavy with consequence. Each portal placement was a calculated risk. Each jump a silent prayer that her calculations were correct. The cold metallic weight of fear mingled with the chemical stench in the air. GLaDOS' voice, usually dripping with false cheer, took on a chilling edge.
Please note that we have added a consequence for failure. Any contact with the chamber floor will result in an unsatisfactory mark on your official testing record, followed by death. Good luck.
For the first time, a cold dread settled in Chell's stomach. This wasn't just a series of puzzles anymore. This was a twisted game, one where the stakes were life and death, and GLaDOS, the unseen puppeteer, reveled in the spectacle. The acid wasn't just a hazard, it was a cruel testament to Chell's expendability in the eyes of her tormentor. The chambers blurred into relentless trials, relentless assaults on both body and spirit. The robotic voice echoed, a mockery of promises and thinly veiled contempt. Cake, relaxation, the illusion of rewards for surviving each twisted test. Hours dissolved into a distorted blur of time. As the hazards escalated, as Chell progressed, the looming threat of death intensified. Just as the elevator carrying her to the next chamber began its ascent, that threat, her expendability, was made chillingly clear.
Due to mandatory scheduled maintenance, the appropriate chamber for this testing sequence is currently unavailable.
GLaDOS announced, the tone in her voice razor sharp.
It has been replaced with a live fire course designed for military androids. The Enrichment Center apologizes for the inconvenience and wishes you the best of luck.
Chell's focus sharpened at the deadly pronouncement, but amidst the alarming nature of this new test, something else caught her eye. A wall panel, wedged open by 2 weighted cubes, and beside it, a grimy handprint, a sign of human life. A wave of curiosity, tinged with a desperate flicker of hope, washed over Chell. She shifted the cubes, prying the panel further. A gap widened, revealing a dimly lit space, exposed wires, the thrum of neglected machinery, and most importantly, the unmistakable signs of another person. Empty cans littered the dust-covered floor. Cardboard bedding lay crumpled, and scrawled across the walls were stark, chaotic messages. Though fractured and faded, they confirmed her darkest suspicions. Warnings of hazards, the chilling words, "the cake is a lie," and painted in crimson, a desperate plea. Help. A jolt ran through her. She was not alone. Her suspicions, the nagging sense that something was deeply wrong, were vindicated. And within that revelation, a shift occurred. It wasn't just about survival anymore. This was something far deeper. And somehow, some way, she would break this twisted game.